GM everyone. Welcome to another sunny edition of the town hall. Uh, for me, it feels like a special town hall because yesterday was the fourth anniversary of the initial Beanstalk deployment. So we are officially in year 5 of this wild experiment, and it's great to be here. So we're gonna keep the same format as previous weeks, where we're first going to go around here from contributors, then we're going to have an open floor, so anyone can ask questions or raise concerns, and then, assuming there's time, I'm going to share a bit of what's on my mind. So, with that, why don't we kick it over to Frijo himself? How you doing, sir?
GM, doing well, doing well. This week, actually, I've been focusing my efforts on more the front end side. We have a lot of updates we want to add in the pipeline, you know, uh, in particular, helping Burr design the convert up order book and also
Hey,
potentially,
Frio, there's a lot of feedback on your end. It sounds like you're in like a machine of some sort. You think you could maybe change your microphone mode or something quickly?
yeah, 1 second.
The coolest.
All
Well,
right,
yeah, go ahead. Much better, much better. Thanks for fixing it.
amazing. Uh, yeah, so I've been spending a lot of my efforts on the front end side, and in particular, there are two main things I'm focused on, or I guess three. One is the working with Burr with the convert order book UX. We finalized the design there, and now are on the stage to implement it. Uh, Working with Florida rain weather with the landing page. I would say we're about 80% done, but I guess I'll let Florida rain weather talk about that. And we are discussing essentially, changes to the UI and the overview page and how we can make it much more usable for all farmers. Uh, there are a lot of things in the UI right now that cause a lot of friction, and there's a lot of places where certain information isn't conveyed, and we would like to fix that. Uh, and it seems like right now is a particularly good time to do so. But that's what's on my mind and what I'm working on.
Nice. Pinto person. Welcome, sir. I don't think we've had you here before, but that is a familiar username, Axiomatics. How you doing, sir? Feel free to say hi or not. Welcome. Thank you for that update, Frio. All right. Why don't we keep it on the front end for now? Let's kick it over to Burr.
GM. This last week has been pretty good. As Frijo mentioned, we finalized designs on the convert up order book UX, and so that development actually started today. Um, I am actually estimating that the deploy date is about 2 weeks out from today, so like August 22nd. Um, and I'm estimating around a week and a half for implementation, and then that leaves a couple days for testing and bug fixes and stuff just to make sure everything is correct. And then the last couple days, I've been working on a new convert user flow where, it allows a farmer to withdraw from an LP, half-pinto, half-non-pinto, um, and allows them to withdraw the non-pinto side into their balance and keep the pinto deposit in the silo. That way, they are able to minimize their grown stock loss and also to um, have another way to remove their exposure from like Pinto Repsol. The good thing about this is that it like doesn't affect the price at all. And so we are currently finalizing designs on this and should be out relatively soon.
Yeah, the convert order, I think. Yeah, very cool. There's an open problem, which is that because it's not like the order book is public, it is sort of like people now have a knowledge on significant prices where there is liquidity. Maybe it's not a problem, but if we go back to like the very early Beanstalk days when we're talking about creating an efficient market for converts, having the protocol sort of broadcast when people are going to convert can create slight inefficiencies. But obviously, right now, given the current privacy tech, this is the best we can do. But yeah, it's very exciting. Thanks for that update, Burr. All right, let's kick it over to Floyd on the front end. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, brother. Hope everyone's doing well. On my end, last week we deployed PI 11, and there were a couple issues in the UI that only became really visible once that was deployed. We had some issues with a handful of data points that power some of our charts. So I had to spend some time disabling those until we get those data points properly sorted and fixed. And now that that's mostly dealt with, on my end, it's been just working on the landing page. Like Frijo said, it's around 80% done. We are targeting around mid-August to deploy it, and I would say we are looking pretty good. But development has been going pretty well. Thankfully, feedback has been really good, so I've been able to execute with not much to worry about. So yeah, it's been just pretty smooth sailing as far as the landing page goes.
Nice. We're hoping for a soft landing on this landing page soon. I'm excited to roll it out. Thank you very much for that update, Floyd. All right, let's kick it over to Default Juice. How you doing, Juice?
TM. I'm doing good. So this week I'm working on the Benchtop shipment still. And more specifically, I'm working on codifying the logic for paying back unripe holders. So unripe holders will receive one, receipt BDV token representing one BDV of unripe, both from LP or unripe beans from Beanstalk. And I'm codifying the contract to how to pay them back. So every season, some pintos are gonna be sent to this external contract, and every season farmers will be able to claim them, pro rata according to their percentage ownership of the total supply of the BDV tokens. And I'm also working on solving some issues with double claiming to prevent people from gamifying the system where someone could just transfer their tokens to another address and then just claim again. But hopefully now that's solved, I just need to test it out. And then also I was working on modifying some of the logic of the current shipment contract. For those who don't know, every time Pinto prints, we have some specific routes, quote unquote, where the Pinto gets sent to. One route is the field, one route is the silo. So our initial assumptions with the payback contract was that there was only going to be one payback contract for both the unripe holders and the fertilizer holders. But now that we're splitting the payback between silo and fert, we're going to need to change some logic on that. So I've been working on that and testing this. And so yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. Next week, I'm going to work on fertilizer, some more tests, and some more scripting work, because there are a lot of moving parts that need to be initialized after the shipments are deployed. And hopefully I get this done by end of next week. But that's the plan.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this is it's a big deal for us to actually officially create the system through which we honor the Beanstalk debt, which is one of the initial commitments we made when we created Pinto. So, exciting stuff. All right, who should we? Wow, I see some interesting old names here. What's up, Tenchatant? I don't know if I said that right. Tenchatant. That's an old Bean FT. How you doing, sir? Good, good. Nice to have you here. Very nice to have you here. Feels like the old gang has been getting back together on this day after the 4-year anniversary of Beanstalk. We got axiomatics here. We got tenchatant here. Good stuff here. Good stuff here. Hammer's here. Wow, this is fun. Okay, who should we swing into next? Pintacito, how are you, sir?
Yo, I'm doing well, thank you. It's been an exciting week from a content perspective. I've been able to put out 3 articles over the last week and a day, which Ben is leading. Very excited by that, and continuing to looking forward to get more content out there, write more articles, continue being more active on socials, and some other community initiatives. So very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, and thank you for all your help with that stuff. It's been great. Let's see if there's anyone else here to swing it to. I think that might be it for now. Well, let's hear from 0x0x, longtime contributor and community member. You got anything on your mind, sir?
Just happy to be here. Excited. It's crazy. It's been 4 years already. But I think if we're open to other discussions, I was just thinking of talking about stablecoins in general, in specific Athena, which I think is interesting. I wanted to talk about it as it's growing. I just wanted to talk about what we think, where this is going.
Talk to us. I think we went through the contributors, so the floor is open, sir.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud here, I guess. So we know Athena, delta neutral. The way it works is that you buy ETH, you short it. But then how much you can grow is limited by how much you can short in the markets. I think what Athena did was they expanded that by going through centralized exchanges, so they were able to access a bigger market. They're probably hitting 10 billion very soon, and just brings that back again, the question of what happens, what's the worst case scenario here. And it's not that I know what the worst case scenario here. I think I'm just thinking out loud here, and I think it's an interesting topic of discussion in general. So the case at which we're looking at, or I think is the ones that we're going to see is an extreme bear market, right? So what happens when the market really dumps. The way Athena makes money, or any delta neutral strategy makes money, is that you make money through the short. This is where you're being paid for the funding rate when we're in the bull market. When the sentiment changes, you start paying for your shorts. This is when you need to close the shorts, because now they're costing you money. But when you close your shorts, you then need to sell the spot ETH that you're also holding, because remember, they're delta neutral by holding ETH and shorting. So you close your shorts, you have to sell your spot ETH. That will cause a further drop in the price of ETH, and you're entering this cycle. This doesn't mean that Athena goes to zero, because it's always it's still backed by a certain percentage. But the worst case scenario here is actually I think what's happening here is that if Athena grows too big, and it is right now, in this big size, what does it do to the price of ETH itself? Because you're just you're unloading ETH. If you want to go to a nightmare scenario, ETH goes to zero, then yes, Athena goes to zero. But we're just looking at this, at this reflexive situation here, just thinking out loud here, and wondering, where this goes.
I had a question on that. If they close their shorts, they're buying. So if you flip the other way, it's still delta neutral.
Delta neutral for Athena itself, yes, but not for ETH. So you get it back, and then to go back delta neutral, you have to sell the spot ETH that you're holding, which brings the price of ETH back further down. So yes, Athena itself, if it does everything at the right spot, they come out of it fine. But just think of it being so bad. The price of ETH goes down, you want to exit, you're selling, it goes even worse down. If Athena is the biggest ETH holder, you can see how this, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the buying pressure wise, if you're like buying 100 deltas on like on a perp and then selling 100 deltas in the spot, I mean, all you're doing is just increasing the premium. But I guess it's just like how everyone else interprets someone dumping spot ETH and buying perps. But I see what you mean. Basis trades have exploded all the time in TradFi. There's no reason why it should be any different in a more volatile asset class.
I'm not sure I follow you here. How do you see this not going on? I see it only happening and this working if the size of Athena is too small, which obviously doesn't make sense, right? Because you're supposed to grow, or you want to grow.
Well,
we know you're limited by it, but if you grow too big, and I'm sorry I cut you off there, if you grow too big, then you're too big for the system itself.
So I mean, the thing is that they basically make money on carry, right? And that's the carry of whatever the funding rates are in exchanges. Most of those funding rates are hard coded at 10% APR. If premium is flat, as in like if the perp is the same as the spot. So it's a pretty sustainable business model just because centralized exchanges have hard coded funding rates to be like 10%. But if you see like a market-wide extended pullback and negative funding rates for a while, then yeah, I agree with you. The unwind is going to be fairly disgusting. But
Yeah. The point
in
here,
general though, they can make money on the carry.
Yeah, what I meant is that not only them unwinding, I understand what you meant is that, maybe centralized exchanges, the way that they change it later, so they will have time to unwind before they go in the negative, but it doesn't change the impact on the price of ETH. If Athena, the protocol itself, comes out unscathed and like a big dump, which I think is unlikely, but let's say they do come out of it like, with nothing, ETH is not going to come out of it fine if the size is too big or when they grow too big. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thesis. I'm willing to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we're getting soon, and I think as it grows there, it's going to be interesting. These are big sizes now.
the thing. Go ahead.
Like ETH also dropped 66% in the past months, and Athena allocated, and rebalanced their positions from the delta neutral positions to T-bills and buying SUSDS. Like at some point, SUSDS was like 50% of the whole backing with Athena. And if you now look at the transparency dashboard they have, only one like 750 mil of their backing is in ETH delta neutral trades. And 1.5 bill is in BTC delta neutral trades, and like they have more than 50% of their portfolio marked as unallocated, which I assume maybe means like liquid stables or T-bills or something like that. So I think the size is like not as big as we imagine currently.
There are more to it, so you did mention it there. So you actually really want to look at how much is like leverage in the system going through USDE. And if you look at all lending protocols, it's mostly the ARB trade. You mentioned Maker, which is Maker also like outplaying this game with the USDS. And this is what exactly I mean what's going to happen as the price of ETH goes down. All of these positions are going to get liquidated. Maker themselves, I was reading a proposal of them yesterday, or for them yesterday. I don't know if it's the one that's run right now, but this is how they ran it when they did like the 500 and $500 million to Athena. It's the same way. As the price goes down, they give preferred liquidation. So they are saying, Maker is saying, basically what happens is that if we're at any risk of DPEG, they're going to jack up the interest rate of everyone borrowing USDE on USDS to liquidate them. So they were like, we're going to give a preferential liquidator to liquidate them also that we come out of this like, clean, or like, there is no risk on Maker from Athena. So Maker does this eventually, we exit first. Athena, obviously, they want to exit first as well. By it comes, and then it's just like, this whole, I don't know, whatever you call this, leverage in the system needs an exit somehow. Which, I think is only going to come on the price of ETH, depending on how big Athena is. And I don't think Athena will go to zero. Just like, let's say like the price of ETH goes by half, or like, I don't know, like, almost like all the way down, it's still backed. But I see this just as a reflexive scenario here.
Yeah, well, it dropped like 66 or like 70% within like 1 or 2 months. So I think Athena like kind of proved themselves there. But yeah, definitely interesting to see how the all the carry trade unwinding holds up.
Very interesting discussion. Thank you for bringing that up. 0x0x. I don't think we've given you enough credit for your handle here. I like your handle. Well, while it's on my mind, while I'm looking at his handle, those of you that don't have the Pinto tag on, it's like showing up naked to the dance. At the town hall, we love to have people that are wearing their Pinto tag. So I was just informed on how to do that, but would encourage other people to get their Pinto tag going. What's up, Captain Trips? How are you, sir? Welcome.
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
All right, so we're at the open period of the town hall. If there's anything on people's minds, similar to how 0x0x brought up a relevant other stable coin and what's going on interestingly over there. What's on people's minds? What questions do people have? What concerns do they have? It's really an open forum for people. Go ahead. Well, the short answer is no. Not yet. The slightly longer answer is that we did record like a Pinto intro video. When I say we, I guess I recorded it. But the feedback from the team was overwhelmingly that I seem like a narc. So we didn't end up putting it out. But yeah, I'm curious if you can share a little bit more color on like they're looking for video content to distribute, or that's just how they want to consume it. Maybe we can create something if it's relevant, or if it's gonna be seen by the right people. Yeah, from my perspective, I'm very interested in creating some meaningful video content. I think one of the things that wasn't great about the original video we created was that it was just like me talking on camera, whereas I think it's a little bit more natural to have some sort of like graphics or animation. And we don't really have anyone in the community at the moment that, at least we're aware of, that is very good at doing something like that. So that seems to be the main blocker at the moment. Obviously, with all these articles coming out recently, we do have a lot of content that we could potentially turn into videos, but it would require someone with that skill set. So for now, I feel like my talk at Stable Summit's probably a good clip, if you will, and it is pretty short. But if you had like a specific request, you said, hey, the relevant people at Coinbase or at Base are going to see it, we could try to put something specific together if you thought that would make a big difference. Awesome. Thank you very much. And it's great to have you here, man. Yeah, it's been in the trenches. Great to have you here.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
man. Thank you for stopping by. What else is on people's minds? Questions, comments, concerns, ideas, problems?
I don't want to open a big topic, but I want to revisit vesting for new mints. So the same way that if you get 100 pinto minted and you want to exit the system right away, you don't take the 100 with you. Those are vested over X period, 3 months, 6 months. Just thinking about long-term stability and how the vesting, I guess, mechanism on incentives has been implemented in many other like industries and so on. I see it very fitting in what we're trying to do here, incentivizing long-term holding and stabilizing the system as well. So if you're someone who just like came in, got the mints, wants to exit and dump, you just don't get all of the mints. Then we want to introduce some sort of a reward for you to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, the interesting dynamic here is that on the one hand, this has a lot of benefits, particularly from the perspective of which we're now in year 5 of actively talking about how to minimize inorganic demand. And from that perspective, it's like even when the system is growing and you can deposit and earn a portion of future mints, which seems like highly likely to be generated, if you will, in a short order because the system's growing, the idea that the mints wouldn't get paid out for an extended period of time makes it such that the people that are likely to buy are likely to want to stick around because it would require some time over which you would actually earn the interest. The problem, as I understand it, is that the mints are, if they continue after the system is below its value target, obviously then that has the potential to drive the price significantly lower than it otherwise would. So it would really have to be like a modified version of what you're suggesting, where it's like once the system, even if the system accumulates some delta B, positive delta B, such that it wants to distribute the mints over a period of time, if the protocol dips below its value target, then the mint should stop effectively. Because if it's below its value target and the mints are still coming, that doesn't really feel like the right. Maybe I shouldn't say feel, because there was a quote from one of the Fed board of governors saying, "Well, it felt like this, so we made this change. When I woke up this morning, it felt like X, Y, Z. So this is how we changed the monetary policy." So maybe it's not a feeling thing, but the point is, it doesn't seem prudent to have the system mint if the protocol is below, if the price of Pinto is below its value target. So then it's really like all you're doing is creating like in practice, that's already the way the system works. So it's not really possible to make the change that you're talking about. What you could do is add like a multiplier on the mints to make them less, but I don't know how helpful that is, if you will.
Yeah, I was thinking that the mints are distributed immediately, and just given that the whole point of it is to maintain peg. I understand that we have the 1.05 or a little bit of the penalty, but let's say you're above that, so you want to distribute the mints to the users right away in order for them to participate with peg maintenance. I think once they exit, so irrespective, now you had the pinto is converted, LP, you did all of these things, you should be able to use them as much like we want them to be participate normally. But when you exit, so let's say you entered day 0, 1,000. Now it's been like 3 months. Your position now is like 10,000. So you want to exit. You came up with like an extra 9. sure, you can take out all of the 9 after 6 months, but now since you want to leave only after 3 months, you take out only like 6 of the 9. So you leave out with 7 instead of leaving out with 10. Does that make sense? But it doesn't impact, when you get it, it doesn't impact you on your peg maintenance or any of that. You should be able to convert, so on. You shouldn't be able to sell, because then as you withdraw, you go to that like penalty or like the vesting thing. But as long as you're in the silo, you should be able to do, everything normally.
I think the issue is that in practice, you are still then minting from a true supply perspective, even when the price is below the value target. Because it's like, let's say, I'm only half vested after 3 months. Now the protocol is below its value target, but I continue to vest in practice the amount that I can sell, and sort of therefore the likelihood that I am going to sell some, particularly if I'm waiting for the vest to occur, goes up. So it's like, even if you're like, well, we're minting the Pinto to participate in peg maintenance, you're not enabling real price discovery on the price of Pinto, because some of the Pinto can't be sold. But it's like some people want to sell their Pinto. So my concern there is that you're still in practice going to be minting below the value target, because the people that do want to sell are going to wait, or potentially wait. And at the margin, it seems like every season, as in the system you're talking about, the amount that could actually be sold goes up. So in practice, that is the supply.
Yeah, I think these are fair arguments, and thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you very much bringing your ideas here. I think it's a great part of this community that people can come and share what they've been thinking about, and we can reason through it together. All right, the floor is open again. And you said it was a huge topic. It wasn't such a huge topic. Bring bigger topics, sir. What other ideas you got? We can have as much fun as you want here. What else is on people's minds? Roast beef, what's up? Nice to see you here.
Howdy.
All right, I'm going to leave the floor open for another 30 seconds, see if there's anything else people want to talk about before I share my 2 cents. Please feel free to chime in. All right. So, what's that call ended? Am I still here? Can you guys still hear me?
I still hear you, and it looks like the Craig's
Cool.
still going.
Cool. I think my Bose, the software on my Bose headphones are just a disaster. All right. I think last week's town hall, the thing that and to that end,
I did not hear that. I don't know if that was
can't hear
just
me?
me. You just cut out. I don't know if that was just me.
Yeah, it's coming in and out.
Oh yeah. All right, let me know if that continues. I'll try to go somewhere with better Wi-Fi if it continues. Is this any better?
Yeah, I think it's all right.
Yeah, it's better.
Cool. Thank you guys. So last town hall, I concluded by talking about how, from my perspective, it's really important that people, to the extent that they feel passionate about this, spread the good word. And I've been trying to do my part and put out content, as Pintacito said, with a lot of his help, to give us as a group and a community a narrative and a common language through which we can explain what we're doing here, why we're here, how it's going, and hopefully soon where we see it going. So the reality of the situation is that as I look around, at the start of year 5. I'm quite enthused by the opportunity we have, and certainly nothing is promised. Ultimately, we don't know how good the model is at this point, and it's definitely possible that it's going to grow significantly and then ultimately blow up. So I think it's very important that we all communicate ourselves in a way that is honest and authentic, that this isn't a sure thing by any means. But as was the conclusion of the piece that I put out yesterday in honor of Beanstalk's 4th birthday, it's like this is the best we have right now, and it feels like the system is ready for its next test. And the way that we're going to be able to take the thing to the next level is to get more data. And the way to do that is to have more people participating. And so I really hope that we as a community, and right now you can see it's a small community. There's like a dozen of us here at the moment. There were a little bit more earlier. This is still the early days of building a rock solid community, and money is a social phenomenon fundamentally. And so the extent to which we as a group, as a community, are able to attract people here and to do it in a way that actually enables them to join us in our unity, right? Like one of the things that I think really uh glass half full, glass half empty was quite a roller coaster for Beanstalk in the early days, was that a lot of its initial growth came from going viral on crypto Twitter. And there was a lot of apes that pumped and dumped the thing that didn't care about the protocol, that were in many ways the initial community. And so it took a while to build up a more organic, healthy, aligned community. And at this point, I think Pinto's in a different circumstance where we do have a real core here. Some of whom are contributors, some of whom are just community members. And this does feel like the way to build something that's fundamentally social in a rigorous fashion, is to get more people here and to do it in a way that makes them feel aligned with what we're doing. So a bit of a long-winded way to say that I am really excited about the content that we're putting out. I think it will do a lot, hopefully, to get more people to pay attention to us. I've had some old Bean people reaching out to me recently. I think we saw some of the old Bean people hopping in here today, which to me is a reflection of the fact that the content that we're putting out has started to resonate with some of the original community members, or maybe I should say OG community members. And there's more where that came from. So ultimately, this is to me one of the most interesting things happening in crypto by a lot. And there's a lot to talk about. So, like last week when we hosted the Stable Summit, it was a real opportunity to see how the content that we have to share and our beliefs that we have around creating a credit-based money really can resonate with people. And it's our responsibility to get the word out there. So I intend to spend a lot of my energy, particularly in the short term, trying to really build up this library of content that can be used as a basis for all of us to communicate with one another and share this with the world. So that's really the thing that I'm thinking about as we enter year 5 here. Is like we need to put out stuff that we're really proud of and is going to engage people and get them to think and take us seriously. Before I go on to talking a little bit about the protocol performance over the past week, just going to pause and see if anyone wanted to respond or ask questions on it. Cool. Well, the coolest update I have is that even in this town hall, I saw a ton of buys come through. So I think I saw at least 2 5-figure deposits into LP and into the silo. And that honestly gets me really happy and excited, because it's like makes me feel like this thing is alive. So I can't say that we know that whoever did it was in the town hall, but I get such a rush out of just seeing people actively participating in the thing. And it's been an interesting week because we did dip back into the lower 90s. And as I was sort of saying last week, we're in this interesting state where the data that was logged was that there really weren't a lot of exits after the system returned to its value target. And I found it really encouraging to see that even though like the ETH price dipped, and I think there was a small amount of capital that left the protocol, such that the price came down between the downside volatility in ETH and some small exits. There really is a coherency. Maybe that's not the right word, but the group that is here seems like they're here, and that is in the same way that the Discord crew and the people that are here in this town hall form a social basis. I think from an economic perspective, there is really clearly a strong thing happening here. It doesn't mean that the thing is going to work in perpetuity, and I'll say it and say it again, that there's no promises the thing's just going to keep working. But at the moment, the fact that people are here, and even when we have additional downside volatility and the short-term mints stop, right? We had a week or so of mints, and now we've had a week or so without mints. Now that that's the case, people are still here, is really encouraging. And it makes me think that the efficacy of the stock system is quite powerful as it currently is designed. One of the things that I was nervous about was we implemented, and I believe we implemented it in Beanstalk originally, but the system really doesn't have enough activity to get data on this stuff, was that now the way that the seeds are calculated is such that there's an average seasons to catch up, such that a new depositor is able to catch up to the average grown stock per BDV after a certain period of time. And I believe that's currently set to 6 months as a parameter. And if that's wrong, feel free to correct me. But the point is, from an economics perspective, what that does is it does limit the extent to which the bank run prevention mechanism actually exists, in the sense that it's like, particularly if you're an average stockholder, and the amount of grown stock that you have per BDV is average, you are like the fact that you could withdraw and then redeposit and catch up to the average, and not catch up to the average, but catch up to where the average was at the time you deposited, to be exactly correct, in 6 months, does really put a cap on the opportunity cost for leaving and coming back, which is the main meat of the design of the stock system. And so from my perspective, it's been really encouraging to see, and it's like, why did we, before I talk about the implications, it's like, why did we implement this? It's because ultimately what we experienced in Beanstalk was that the old depositors, after a long downturn, had such an advantage over newer depositors that it really was unattractive to be a new depositor. Like, why am I going to deposit if it's going to take me 2 years potentially to catch up to where the people that have been in the system currently are? Like, that's not really attractive. And particularly, it's like, in 2 years, I'll catch up to where the average is today, but the average will have moved, so I'm still 2 years behind. So it's like, I'll have cut down the delta between the average depositor and me, or I should say the average depositor at the time of deposit and me in 2 years. But then it's going to only go down another to 2/3 in 2 years. So it's like, the reason that we put this system in place was to make it such that there is a way to parameterize how long it takes to catch up, to make it more attractive for new depositors. And in this very call, we're seeing new depositors join the system, even though generally we've had a long period of time below the value target. So given that in practice we are sort of limiting the amount of opportunity cost that you can experience for leaving and coming back, even though it's not absolute, like I was saying, I find it to be really positive that people are sticking around. And on the flip side, there's new capital entering the system. So it seems like that's pretty properly parameterized. I would get nervous about something like 3 months, although that could make it even more attractive for new capital to enter the system. But the point is, yeah, I think we're getting a lot of evidence that the system is in a good spot in a lot of different ways, and the way that we currently have the system parameterized is also pretty strong. And this is encouraging for me to be able to go out and tell the world, like, hey, we think this is working pretty well. And again, it doesn't mean that it's going to work in perpetuity, but to get the data that it is working is really positive. So that's something I've been watching very closely. The reason to lower the 6 months to 3 months would be if we felt like we still didn't have enough new depositors and we wanted to get them to catch up, but the catch up faster, that it's even more attractive for depositors to join the system. But the flip side of that is that we run the risk of removing too much opportunity cost such that people are no longer incentivized to stay. So I could imagine a future version of the system way out into the future. Like, this is not going to happen anytime soon, where we even have the target seasons to catch up implemented as a gauge, where there's some way to detect how much people are leaving, and so then it would like try to lower it as much as possible before people start to leave in a meaningful capacity to make it as attractive for new depositors without pushing out the old depositors. But that's a little bit far out there. So it's been encouraging to see the data. We do have a hard time properly parameterizing this system because it is so complex and there's not a lot of reference data. So a lot of, particularly when we're initially parameterizing new elements of the system, one of the difficulties is that you really just have to reason from first principles and use common sense to try to figure out what the right way to parameterize this thing is. And the 6 months thing was a general just using good judgment, if you will, to try to figure out, yeah, a year sounds too long. Because it's like, yeah, if it's going to take me a year to
Losing you, Ben.
catch up to an existing participant, an average existing participant, do I really want to join this system? A year is a very long time. BNC, could you just mute? I think we're getting a little feedback from you. Oh, what about now?
Yeah, we're just losing you a bit.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, it's better. It's like for
Now?
a few times you just cut out.
What about now? Just
Yeah.
Oy vey.
You're good.
Sorry,
you're good,
guys.
you're good.
Thanks. All right. Well, those were most of the. Was my point communicated properly, or did the meat of what I was saying get lost?
You got most of it across for sure.
All right. I'm sorry to hear the Wi-Fi was not great. All right. So we're basically at the top of the hour. Particularly given my Wi-Fi is not great, I feel like the right thing to do is to just open it up one more time, see if there's anything else anyone wanted to talk about, and if not, we'll wrap it up. So the floor is open once again. Going once.
When are we getting Pinto merch?
Ooh, Pinto merch. That is a good question. We've been testing out a couple different designs. I think it's a bit of a process to get it shipped to people, but I think that's something we should be doing soon. So thanks for the shout. And maybe what we'll do is we'll put out like an order form or something so we can gauge demand and see what we can do there. I think that's a cool idea.
Can I pay with Pinto?
Well, I think we would have to make that possible. Although the truth is, paying with Pinto isn't the most helpful to the project because it's like it would basically be we'd have to sell the Pinto. But who's to say you can't pay with Pinto, if you will. But yeah, I guess we should make it such that you can't pay with Pinto. That is utility. I use my Pinto to buy Pinto merch. So I can post pictures of me on socials wearing Pinto merch. Get the word out there. Yeah, we got to get you some merch, roast beef.
That would be great. Thanks.
What else? We got a couple more minutes here if people want to share anything. Going once. Going twice. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Sorry about my Wi-Fi this week. We'll talk again soon. See you next week.
Cheers.